Alright, hello, welcome to today's update. Same with yesterday, today's update is going to be pretty short. So I added two different animations today. First one is the crouch hit animation, where I have him kind of recalling back from getting hit, and then recovering back to a neutral state. This is the first animation. You can see that a lot of these frames in between are a lot less polished and detailed, and that's because they don't have to be. And I think part of what I talked about with frame efficiency yesterday also has a lot to do with in-betweens, right? I really should spend less time in the in-betweens that aren't kind of key poses, right? Because they're going to be so fast on screen anyways, and they don't particularly have to be perfect at this state. What I've realized is that each frame takes just a lot of work to do in terms of rendering everything, and me putting details in these frames less isn't going to impact the feel of the motion overall. And I do want to speed up production a little bit just to get initial prototype out quicker, and you can start playtesting to see whether things are working or not before I go back in and polish things more. So this is the crouch hit animation. It has the same tech as the stand hit animation, where you have this recall frame that's going to be played initially, and then he can recover. He'll recover towards this normal state towards the end of this hit stun. You will see a bit more when I show you what it looks like in game. But yeah. So the second thing I did was this air hit and knockdown animation. So you can take a look at here. So this is the initial hit frame. This is him flying up, back, and then falling down, and then him like bouncing off the floor, and then going. And this is his final like knockdown state. The way this is programmed is going to be a little bit different in game, but I think it looks pretty good. I don't know how good it looks actually. Yeah, so this is in 7, or I think this is in 4 frames per second, 4 FPS. This is not what it looks like in game. What I have it in game is that I actually have it show a different frame based on your actual speed. You'll see what that means more in game later on. But yeah, one interesting problem I ran into with this animation was that I was basing this off the jump animation, which was pretty big. I think currently I have this idle frame here because when I imported this into the game, it turned out to be like way too big, way bigger than the auto animation. So when he was getting hit, he would like expand drastically because the sprite was a lot bigger. So now I need to base things off of my idle animation, right, which is kind of the proportion I want and the proportion most people are going to see. So I resized everything down, which was actually a little bit problematic because when you resize things, you have to resize either a single layer or a single group. And then when you put everything into a single group, we can show you here, right, when I try to transform this, it shows you the initial frame instead of this, even though I'm transforming this 5th frame right here, right, it shows me the image for the initial frame, which made resizing things a lot harder than it should have been. But I will know better, right, to have things in reference to the idle animation more. Just be more cognizant of that in the future. Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with how it plays out. If I play this in a somewhat more reasonable frame rate, I think 8 is probably better, or 6. Let's see, yeah. So you can see him kind of like falling down, which is great. So let's take a look at this in game. So the first thing is going to be the crouch hit animation, right? So this guy is crouching, and then you can see him knocking back, right? So his stand hit animation has the same thing where he gets knocked back, or he have this hit animation and then recovers towards the end of it. It's the same frame, or it's the same kind of style, right? So it's the last 12 frames that's going to recover. So the timing of them are currently the same, and I don't have a way of tweaking that individually, but there's no need for that quite yet. So that's fine. So yeah, that's the crouch hit animation. And then the one is the air knockback. So I've actually just binded a key to damaging myself. So here is it. So if you take a look at it, he flies up in the air, and then when he slows down towards the apex, right, he plays this different frame, and then when he falls back down, he plays. So when he falls back slowly, right, he's gonna play one frame where he's like kind of like almost horizontal, and then when he's falling down faster, he's gonna play that fast falling frame. What this means is that if I like air dash, or if I get hit in the air and it just pushes me down, it will go straight to the kind of falling down animation instead of going through a predictable trajectory or going through that single animation predictably, right? That's set frames. Implementing this like programmatically allows me to like have this look as good as if I change the knockback on Wolf on that hit. Let me see. Right, so it's gonna look good regardless of how far you're knocked back and what your trajectory is. So I can actually show you here. Right, so if your z velocity, which is the vertical one, is above 150, then you play this first frame. If it's between 150 and 0, you play the second frame. And then if it's between 0 and negative 150, you play this third frame. And then if it's more than negative 150, you play this fourth frame. So if I change this here to half the knockback, let's see, right, you can still see that it, right, it still looks good, right? It still looks like he's just getting knocked back, which is great. Took a little bit of tech to work on. Oh, there's this one thing where most of the animation state was set to loops. Oh, 係錄音冇所謂。錄緊你㗎，如果你喺度講粗口嘅話。Okay, continuing on. Where was I? Let's see. Right, so it's gonna look smooth regardless of what the trajectory is. That's really what I want. So yeah. Oh well, yeah. So I was talking about there's one more thing where all my animation was looping earlier, which is great for when you're standing, when you're jumping, and stuff like that, when you're crouching. But actually, most of the time, I don't want my animations, or I don't expect my animations to loop. And that's specifically for the knockdown state, right? So when you, let's see, so when you get knocked down in the air, right, I want him to flop up and go back down and stay down, right? I don't want him to like kind of just like flop up and down. So what I did here is that I stop it from looping every time I play this wolf down animation. And then whenever I go back to standing or whenever I go back to crouching, right, then I make sure that I set the loop back to true, and then start playing, making sure that I start playing the animation. So yeah, let's see. Anything else I want to add? Yeah, I think all the animations, or like all the movement animations, are basically done now, which is great. Next thing I'm gonna work on is gonna be the normals. Oh, one more thing is that I might rework this knockdown. This currently is based on Street Fighter, but I think I do want to change it more to like a Guilty Gear setting where you can like tech out of so there's a tech timer for your character for each move, and then you can tech out of things in midair and stuff like that. I'm not exactly sure what I want yet, but there's just something in my mind that's going through. Still thinking about it. And then the next thing I'm working on is going to be detailing. So I realized that I never really tied down exactly what my moves need to do, because when I make the attacks, right, it kind of dictates what the hitbox is and what the moves, what the move can do, right? So what I really want to do is know exactly what my moves want to be, right, from a gameplay standpoint, and then figure out how to animate a move like that, right, that I want. So what I've been working on is that I've been kind of tying down exactly what each of the buttons should do, and I'm basing this a lot of just ideas about buttons, right, and what purpose does each of these moves serve. I want each moves to have a specific purpose and specific time when you want to press them. So it's kind of like you're not just pressing one button all the time, right? You want to be using specific buttons, right, for specific situations. One thing I've been doing is referencing this thing called like Guilty Bits, and I think these provide a very succinct like list of like normals and specials and things that you do during, right, so it tells you, right, kind of like what each buttons is for, right, and that's kind of things that I want, right. I want to have designed something like this so that it can be translated eventually into something like these Guilty Bits, where you can know what each, or design them so that each button have a specific purpose, specific use, right? And then I will, after I decide on that, right, and create a toolkit from these normals, right, with each of them giving specific uses, right, then I can go in and animate my moves. Some of them are still a little bit up in the air right now. I just did light and medium. So currently I'm trying to have 3 normal attacks, or 3 buttons, right, with crouching, standing, and medium. I might include some command normals, and then my special moves are still kind of need to be tied down, right? I need to kind of think of them in a system and see how they balance each other out, right? How they work in relationship with each other, right? And then once I figure that out, I can go in, right? This move needs to be a short, close range move with quick startup, right? Then I can figure out exactly how the hitboxes need to be, right? All the frame data and stuff like that, and then animate them. So definitely more work to be done, but exciting work. Um, Exciting work. Definitely, I was actually getting a little bit tired of a lot of the art. I feel like it was time to switch it up a little bit, just because I've just been like drawing and like animating things every day. It's fun. It's fun, but it like I don't know. It's good to switch things up a little bit once in a while, and do different things. So yeah, that's it for today's update. Thank you for watching, and see you guys next time.